Human beings do not live inside reality. They live inside interpretations of reality. And Machiavelli understood this centuries before social media, before algorithms, before brand identity, before Hollywood, before the word psychology even existed in the modern form. He understood something primitive, brutal, but still undeniably true. Appearance controls perception, and perception controls power. When people look at you, they are not seeing you. They are seeing the story that their mind projects on top of what you show them. This is why most people never actually meet other people. They meet their assumptions, their projections, their fears, their stereotypes, and their personal narrative filters. We live in a permanent film directed subconsciously, written by our biases, edited by our insecurities, and distributed by our survival instincts. This is why Machiavelli believed appearances matter more than essence, not because essence is irrelevant, but because essence is invisible. Essence requires depth, time, analysis, curiosity, intimacy, silence, presence. Appearance requires just one glance. And the human mind evolved to judge fast, not accurately. The brain that survives is not the brain that deeply understands. It is the brain that categorizes instantaneously before threat can strike. This is evolutionary psychology disguised inside modern social interaction. The world is not rewarding the ones who are right. The world is rewarding the ones who look right faster. The one who appears confident is treated as confident before anyone actually checks if he is. The one who appears moral becomes trusted even when he is strategically evil. The one who appears successful attracts resources long before proving anything truly concrete. We don't reward substance. We reward signals of substance. We don't reward truth. We reward aesthetics of truth. We don't reward competence. We reward branding of competence. Today, this is more aggressive than ever because now society has digitized appearance into currencies. Followers became social capital. Titles became symbols of authority. Lifestyle imagery became proof of status. Filtered identity became the default identity. We reversed nature. Instead of using appearance to reflect who we are, we use appearance to replace who we are. So when Machiavelli said appearance matters more than essence, he was not promoting fraud by itself. He was describing human nature before we had vocabulary to explain it. People believe what is easiest to believe, not what is truest. People trust what is visually coherent, not what is existentially coherent. Society never evolved to detect meaning. Society evolved to detect patterns. And appearance is the language of patterns. This is why people who understand image control become powerful faster than people who chase moral perfection. Because the masses do not judge you by your inner nature. They judge you by the illusion they can process fastest. Essence is discovered. Appearance is consumed. Therefore, appearance wins. If we truly analyze existence through a modern psychological lens, we realize that society became a gigantic marketplace of illusions. Everyone is trading perception like merchants once traded gold. Every human interaction became negotiation of symbolic value. We're not relating essence to essence. We are negotiating masks with masks. People learn how to sell themselves long before learning how to discover themselves. A child learns how to pose for the camera before learning how to meditate. A teenager learns how to curate identity on social platforms before understanding identity within the inner world. An adult learns how to look productive before knowing how to truly be disciplined. We replaced inner transformation with external simulation. We replaced character with optics. We replaced meaning with marketing. That is why Machiavelli never sounds outdated. He sounds like a man talking about TikTok, political marketing psychology, corporate branding, influencer culture, and power dynamics in 2025. But he was saying these things in the 1500s because he wasn't describing history. He was describing human nature. And human nature barely changes. It just updates technologies to express the same primal instincts. Human beings want recognition. Human beings want validation. Human beings want to be seen, more than they want to truly be understood. We think we want depth, but depth is exhausting. We think we want intimacy, but intimacy exposes insecurity. We think we want authenticity, but authenticity demands vulnerability. And most people fear vulnerability more than failure itself. So, we choose appearance. Because appearance is safer. You can control appearance. You can curate appearance. You can rehearse appearance. Essence, you cannot rehearse. Essence is revealed in silence, conflict, pressure, crisis, solitude, failure, heartbreak, loss, chaos. Most people do not want to confront those territories because confronting them forces you to confront yourself.
In confronting yourself is the most terrifying confrontation a human can experience. Most people would rather build a perfect imaginary version of themselves and defend that image at all costs than actually become someone real. This is why the world is dominated by symbols, status games, and image warfare. People do not fight over reality. They fight over narratives about reality. Modern psychology calls this impression management. Machiavelli called this pragmatic power. Influence is not about what is true. It is about what people believe fast enough to matter. You don't win elections with truth. You win with compelling imagery. You don't dominate markets with moral purity. You dominate by shaping perception of inevitability. You don't become respected by being good. You become respected by looking like someone who is too dangerous to disrespect. The modern world is not meritocratic. It is semi-meritocratic, semi-performative, and fully narrative-driven. The man who appears wise will be listened to more than the man who actually is wise, but cannot communicate his wisdom aesthetically. The woman who appears desired will be desired by more men regardless of the emotional emptiness behind the curation of her life. The creator who appears successful will attract investors, views, partnerships, and opportunity long before he earned them in essence. We live in a psychological economy where confidence is treated as competence, where visibility is treated as value, where noise is mistaken for impact, where consistent performance of identity becomes more rewarded than actual identity. And the more the digital world accelerates, the more appearance becomes not just a competitive advantage, but a survival mechanism within social hierarchy. People no longer simply want to be someone. They want to be seen being someone. That is the shift Machiavelli predicted. Appearance is not superficial. Appearance dictates the access to environments where essence can later act. This is the paradox. To show your essence to the world, you must first use appearance to earn permission to reveal it. Appearance is the gatekeeper. Essence is the treasure inside the gate. Machiavelli didn't glorify deception. He exposed that humans reward illusions faster than they reward reality. And if you deny this, you lose not because you are morally superior, but because you are strategically naive. Appearance is not the enemy of essence. Appearance is merely the language essence must speak until people are ready to see deeper. There is a psychological tragedy hidden underneath all of this. Most people never actually discover who they are. They only discover what works socially. Identity becomes a survival performance, not an internal exploration. And this is where modern psychology merges perfectly with Machiavelli's realism. Humans adapt not to truth, but to reward systems. If the world rewards fast judgments, you learn to become easily digestible. If the world rewards symbolic authority, You learn to mimic authority. If the world rewards a spectacle, you learn to exaggerate yourself for attention. If the world rewards curated imperfection, the modern manufactured vulnerability aesthetic, you learn to act broken in fashionable ways, not to heal, but to appear relatable. In a society like this, authenticity becomes a luxury, because authenticity requires risking rejection, and rejection is one of the deepest primal fears encoded in the human nervous system. We evolved in tribes where rejection was equal to death. So the brain still treats rejection as fatal, even if today rejection just means lost followers or awkward silence or an empty view count on a video. This is why appearance becomes the shield, aesthetic identity becomes armor, narrative becomes defense mechanism. People do not build identities to express themselves. They build identities to protect themselves. We call it branding today, but branding is just the modern ritualistic evolution of ancient reputation. The medieval knight had a crest on his shield. The modern individual has an aesthetic on their profile. Historically, you were not judged by your inner moral score. You were judged by your visible symbols. The symbol always came before the substance. That is why Machiavelli warned rulers, do not focus on being good. Focus on looking good, because the masses can only judge what they can see, and what is visible is always stronger than what is hidden. Here is the painful psychological dimension of that. If your essence is magnificent, but your appearance is weak, society will never give you the chance to show who you are. This is why countless brilliant minds remain invisible, not because they lack capacity, but because they lack presentation. You could be the greatest thinker alive and die unknown simply because your appearance never activated attention. In modern terms, if you cannot narrate your value, if you cannot convert your essence into visual, symbolic interpretation, if you cannot compress depth into digestible perception, then society will ignore you, not because you don't matter, but because you are unreadable. Humans are not evil for this. Humans are limited. Humans do not have time to analyze everyone deeply. So, the brain uses stereotypes, shortcuts, signals, cues, archetypes, surface impressions. Appearance is cognitive efficiency. Essence is cognitive labor. People choose the path that burns the least mental energy. So what happens? People stop trying to become admirable and instead start trying to look admirable. People stop trying to become wise and instead try to sound wise. People stop trying to become powerful and instead try to appear intimidating. People stop trying to become extraordinary and instead try to hack the illusion of extraordinariness. Influence becomes a theater. Power becomes choreography. Success becomes a costume. Society turns into a playground where the best actors lead, while the most authentic ones bleed. This is why understanding appearance is not optional if you want influence. It is foundational. You must learn the language of perception if you want the world to ever reach your essence. Appearance is the gate. Essence is the treasure inside the gate. We don't enter what is perceptually hidden until we pass through appearance. That is why we call leaders visionaries. They have a superior capacity to visually communicate their insights. Nothing appears until someone has a vision of how to interpret reality. This is why appearance is, in a way, the most primordial power form there is to understand on the earth.
Now we must enter the darkest irony inside this Machiavellian principle. The people who obsess over looking moral are often the least moral internally, and yet they are rewarded by society far more than the ones silently living true virtue.
Modern psychology calls this moral signaling. It is not morality, it is performance of morality. People have learned that the fastest way to appear good is not to commit good acts, but to broadcast symbolic flashes of goodness. Not to sacrifice, but to appear compassionate. Not to serve, but to be seen supporting something publicly. This is why most people do not donate to feed the poor privately, in silence, anonymously. They donate only if the donation receipt is shareable. This is why most people do not apologize with sincerity. They apologize in ways that sound like a PR press release. This is why outrage culture became a powerful social weapon. People pretend to defend morality, not because they care about justice, but because being outraged boosts their personal status as a guardian of virtue. It is all theater. The appearance of moral excellence replaces the existence of moral excellence. And Machiavelli predicted this psychological corruption. Powerful men are not feared because they are good. They are feared because they look like they could destroy anyone who challenges them. And the masses instinctively respect what they fear. Likewise, in the modern world, people are celebrated not because they are ethical, but because they look like they stand on the right side of a narrative. And narratives have more weight than facts. We do not live in the era of information. We live in the era of interpretations. Truth became negotiable. Reality became editorial. Morality became part of branding strategy. The more hyper-connected the world becomes, the more morality becomes gamified into identity currency. It is not about being good, it is about being seen as good by the right crowds. And this produces an existential crisis inside the individual. How do you remain real in a world where illusion is rewarded faster than sincerity? How do you be yourself in a world where every incentive punishes authenticity and rewards aesthetically convenient identity? The answer is painful. Most people do not maintain character. They abandon it silently in exchange for validation. They stop living inwardly and begin living externally, constantly monitoring how they're being perceived, constantly calibrating behavior in order to avoid conflict, rejection, disapproval, invisibility. Human beings no longer think, "What do I believe?" They think, "What looks best to believe?" They no longer ask, "What is right?" They ask, "What will make me look righteous?" This is how morals degrade into optics, how virtue degrades into content strategy, how character degrades into algorithmic performance. The world begins to reward superficiality so consistently that people begin to internalize superficiality as identity. And when superficiality becomes identity, essence dies. Or worse, essence remains alive, but trapped, suffocating beneath layers of persona, costume, social acting, curated narrative simulation. The self becomes a prisoner of the self's aesthetic. This is why appearance is such a dangerous force, not because appearance lies, but because appearance can become so dominant that the individual forgets there is anything behind the surface. Appearance replaces not only what others see, but eventually what you see of yourself. When appearance becomes the primary currency of value, the individual begins to experience an internal fracture, a separation between who they truly are and who they must appear to be in order to survive socially. This fracture creates a psychological disorder that has no clinical name in textbooks yet. But every human living in the digital architecture of the modern world knows exactly what it feels like. It is the silent tension between authenticity and performative identity. The feeling that you are always being watched. The constant internal voice shaping you based on imaginary observers. The sensation that your life is not being lived from the inside out, but from the outside in. This is the psychological consequence Machiavelli never had the vocabulary to describe, but he implicitly pointed to. When appearance dominates essence, the self dissolves into its own reflection. Most people today are not living their inner biography. They are living the character they built for others to consume, a character optimized not for truth, but for strategic acceptability.
You change based on what looks rewarded. You silence based on what looks punishable. You strive based on what looks admired. You self-censor based on what looks controversial. This turns selfhood into a negotiation between multiple external expectations, and there is nothing more psychologically suffocating than living your life inside a negotiation with imaginary judges. Eventually, the mask becomes the truth you believe about yourself. This is why so many modern people feel empty even when they look successful. Their success was built in service of the image, not the soul. You can win the social game and lose yourself completely. You can optimize your identity to perfection and become the prisoner of the identity you optimized. You can win followers and lose direction. You can win admiration and lose self-respect. You can win attention and lose purpose. The greatest tragedy of social performance is that the applause becomes addictive. An addiction to appearance slowly erodes the ability to recognize your own substance. People begin to confuse validation with identity. They begin to confuse attention with meaning. They begin to confuse relevance with self-worth. Machiavelli would have predicted this outcome with terrifying precision. If society punishes honesty and rewards spectacle, society will breed actors, not thinkers. And the thinker begins to die out, not because he became weaker, but because appearing powerful became more important than being powerful. This collapse of inner self-understanding leads to a strange existential fatigue, the sense that no matter how much you accomplish, something essential is missing. That missing piece is not achievement. It is not recognition. It is not status. It is essence. The inner essence that never got the chance to lead. Instead, it had to sit quietly, watching the mask dominate the stage of your existence. Modern psychology will call this burnout, depression, identity fragmentation, existential emptiness. Machiavelli would call it the consequence of worshiping appearance instead of cultivating substance. When the image becomes God, the soul becomes disposable. And the world we built worships image far more aggressively than any ancient monarchy ever could. Here is the next brutal revelation Machiavelli forces us to confront. Even if you personally choose to value essence above appearance, you cannot escape the world's psychology. You are not judged based on your truth. You are judged based on the efficiency of your illusion. So rejecting the role of appearance does not liberate you from illusion, it only makes you vulnerable to illusions crafted by others. Power does not belong to the sincere. Power belongs to the strategically perceptive. This is why Machiavelli is misunderstood by moralists and worshipped by realists. He never told people to be evil. He told them to understand how humans actually behave, not how humans pretend they behave. Idealists drown in disappointment. Realists navigate through advantage. Appearance is not inherently immoral. It is simply the battlefield where human cognition operates. If you refuse to participate in the construction of appearance, you surrender your influence to those who do, because society will fill the interpretation for you. Silence is not neutral. Silence is interpreted. Neutrality does not exist in a psychological ecosystem built on perception. If you do not tell people who you are, They will create an illusion for you, and they will not choose the illusion that serves you. They will choose the illusion that serves them. Therefore, learning how to shape appearance is not manipulation. It is self-defense. It is protection against narrative hijacking. It is strategic maintenance of sovereignty over interpretation. You cannot control how everyone thinks, but you can influence the psychological frames they use to think about you. This is the subtle Machiavellian intelligence modern people fail to grasp. Controlling appearance is not lying. Controlling appearance is choosing which part of your essence you reveal first. Because if you reveal the wrong part of your essence at the wrong time, you lose authority before you even have the chance to express value. This is why countless genius-level individuals are ghosts in history. The world never saw them, not because they didn't exist, but because they did not translate their internal brilliance into external perception. Essence without appearance is invisible. Appearance without essence is hollow, but highly functional in the short term. And this creates a paradox that smart minds must master. If you focus only on essence, you remain unknown. If you focus only on appearance, you become empty. If you master both, you become inevitable. This is the balance Machiavelli truly wanted to teach, not corruption, but strategic duality. Appearances are tools. Essence is foundation. To influence humans, you must build the tool on top of the foundation, not as a replacement for it. The weak use appearance to disguise emptiness. The powerful use appearance to reveal strength strategically. Machiavelli's real genius was not telling you to abandon essence. He told you that essence alone is not enough. It must be expressed in a language the world understands. And the world understands appearance before anything else. Power begins with perception. Perception shapes opportunity. Opportunity allows essence to manifest. Appearance is the passport that grants access for essence to operate. This is not pessimistic. This is liberating, because once you master this principle, you stop being a prisoner of misinterpretation and begin shaping how the world experiences you. Now we enter the deepest layer of this principle, the cognitive machinery inside the human brain that explains why appearance dominates. People think they judge others rationally. They don't. They judge through a primitive, fast filtering system. Before intellect, before logic, before nuance. The brain evolved to make split-second interpretations based on visual, symbolic, emotional signals because in ancient environments, hesitation meant death. A noise in the bushes did not allow philosophical examination. It demanded immediate categorization. Predator or not. Threat or not. Approach or avoid. Ally or enemy. This primal mechanism is still inside us, but instead of analyzing predators in nature, we analyze identities in society. We scan people not for truth, but for signals. This is why confidence is mistaken for competence, charm is mistaken for trustworthiness, luxury is mistaken for success, mystery is mistaken for depth, aesthetic darkness is mistaken for wisdom, vulnerability display is mistaken for authenticity, popularity is mistaken for value. Humans rarely judge what is, they judge what looks like something familiar. And because familiarity equals psychological safety, appearance becomes a shortcut to acceptance. Humans reward what feels predictable, even if it is false. Humans avoid what feels ambiguous, even if it is profound. Meaning demands effort. Identity perception demands almost no effort.
This is the algorithm inside the human animal. We do not judge individuals, we match them to archetypes already stored in memory. And archetypes are not essence-based, they are appearance-based. This is why humans do not want to understand people, they want to classify them. Machiavelli found the rule before neuroscience existed. Appearances dictate classification, and classification dictates treatment. So, if you want to influence how the world treats you, you must influence which archetype you activate in the human mind. People who ignore this get filtered into irrelevance. This explains why the quiet genius is ignored, while the charismatic fool leads nations. This explains why the silent, disciplined worker remains invisible, while the storyteller becomes a symbol. Humans cannot allocate cognitive energy to deeply evaluate everyone, so they rely on the illusion that feels most efficient. And the illusion that spreads fastest becomes accepted as the truth. Society is not structured around what is true. Society is structured around what is easy to believe. This is why Machiavelli is not a manual for corruption. It is a manual for realism. He is saying if you want essence to survive long enough to matter, you must package it inside an appearance strong enough to survive initial judgment. Power is not built by essence alone. It is built by leading perception toward essence. Wise people hate this. Idealists reject this. Spiritual purists resent this. But reality doesn't care about your resentment. The world gives influence to those who understand human cognitive limitations, not to those who complain about them. This is why Machiavelli is still relevant, more today than in his own century. Because the modern world is built entirely on perception control. Media, politics, cultural narratives, celebrity worship, social platforms, polarization, tribal digital warfare, branding, identity curation. It is all psychological optics. We no longer live in the age of reason. We live in the age of impression. Who controls impression controls emotion. Who controls emotion controls narrative. Who controls narrative controls power. Here is where this becomes existentially interesting, and where Machiavelli is absolutely misread by shallow minds. He never said appearance should replace essence. He said appearance should strategically protect essence. The problem is not illusion. The problem is worshipping illusion. Because appearance is a tool, essence is the purpose. If you reverse them, you become hollow. If you align them, you become unstoppable. Appearances are like armor. Armor is not your identity. It is what protects your identity long enough for you to fulfill your purpose. Essence is the sword. Appearance is the shield. Both are necessary if you are going to influence a world that judges instantly, punishes nuance, and rewards what is simple to process. Modern psychology confirms this. The brain will judge you first emotionally and aesthetically, and only afterwards intellectually. So the wise strategy is this: use appearance to open the door. Use essence to stay in the room. Appearance attracts attention. Essence earns respect. Appearance gets you invited. Essence keeps you remembered. Appearance allows you to speak. Essence makes your words stay inside others. This is the subtle mastery of power. To reject appearance entirely is not noble. It is naive. It means you will spend your life being misinterpreted, underestimated, dismissed, excluded. To reject essence entirely is not strategic. It is self-destruction.
It means you will eventually collapse because no performance can compensate for inner emptiness forever. But to unify both, to consciously craft the image that best expresses your internal nature and your mission, that is the highest form of influence. That is when you stop pretending and start communicating symbolically who you are in a form that the world can process efficiently. Many people think authenticity means showing everything. No, authenticity means showing what is true, not necessarily what is total. You do not owe the world full transparency. You owe yourself integrity. Transparency without boundaries is emotional exhibitionism. Boundaries without honesty are manipulation. Balance is self-respect. And this is the spiritual dimension Machiavelli implied, even if he never said it in mystical language. Power belongs to the one who can navigate both worlds, the invisible truth of who he is, and the visible identity required to survive among humans. Appearance must serve essence. Essence must inform appearance. This is not lying. This is alignment. It is actually one of the highest acts of self-mastery, to consciously design how you are perceived while still remaining internally real. Because the ultimate objective of controlling appearance is not domination. It is sovereignty over your own narrative. When appearance becomes the dominant currency of human evaluation, society evolves into a silent battlefield of impression warfare. Everyone is competing for perception advantage, not because they are inherently malicious, but because those who lose the perception game become invisible. And invisibility is the modern form of social death. People are not terrified of being wrong. They are terrified of not being seen. This is why social platforms are not neutral tools. They are battlegrounds where identity is weaponized, where aesthetics are used as armor, where narrative is used as ammunition, where moral signaling is used as camouflage, and where outrage becomes artillery, and where illusion becomes strategic artillery. In a world like this, human beings do not merely show themselves, they deploy themselves. This is why Machiavelli still speaks directly to the psychology of our age, because he understood that the world is not ruled by the pure, but by the perceptually intelligent. But here is the paradoxical liberation inside this darkness. When you understand this mechanism, you stop being manipulated by it. You stop interpreting appearances as truth. You start seeing appearances as projection. You stop being seduced by surface narratives. You start searching for the architecture behind behavior. You become less reactive and more analytical, less impression-driven and more principle-driven. You stop comparing your inner life to everyone else's outer performance. You stop believing the illusion you scroll through every day is reality, and realize it is only choreography, partial, curated, economically engineered for psychological impact. When you see through appearances, you become more free inside them. And then, you can play the game consciously, not as a victim of illusion, but as an architect of interpretation. Not to manipulate the world, but to protect your essence from being erased by it. Because at the end of all this philosophical dissection, there is a human truth even Machiavelli would respect. Power is a battlefield, and perception is the first strike. But the soul, the real inner core, that is what makes power meaningful once acquired. So, the wise do not reject appearance. The wise simply refuse to become addicted to it. The wise know that appearance is the gate, but essence is the journey once you walk through it. This is how you navigate a world built on illusions without losing yourself to illusions. You become the rare individual whose appearance reflects something that actually exists beneath it, not a manufactured hollow simulation, but a deliberate, sovereign, intentional image built to serve the truth of who you are. In a world where everyone is acting, authenticity becomes the most powerful form of rebellion. And in a world where appearance reigns above essence, the greatest victory is to use appearance as a bridge toward a life rooted in essence. That is the final Machiavellian lesson. Master appearances, but never bow to them. Essence is the kingdom. Appearance is the gate you must pass to reach it.